your time, making sure that you are making productive use of this time. Okay, so and at the same time, once you have once you have executed the program, and once you have understood the concept, making sure that you are also completing the activity of lab by using the methods which I have already told, like usage of offline compiler if you have a system, or you use a online compiler if you have internet, and if you don't have computer, you can also use the mobile platform, but don't spend too much of time in order to only start typing in the mobile phone. Okay, so this is where I asked you to collaborate with rest of the entire class, and use the Google groups as well as WhatsApp to to communicate the source code which is written in .cpp, and you can put it in notepad, and then you can share across all those files. Okay, so I can see I think only one student, Anagha, or so, they have started communicating the programs. So it will be very fruitful if you can probably take one program each, those students who have computers, and then start coding it. Okay, so that if anybody is getting a specific bug or a specific doubt and needs the clarity, you can get back to me at any of these online classes which are scheduled as per the timetable. Okay, fine. So let me again re-welcome everybody. So good morning all. So let us start our yesterday's discussion of implementation of data structures. In that, we have considered the definition of stack, and then we have seen the different possible options that exist in C++ environment to design stack. Okay, so stack can be designed by using three options. One is implementation of C++ stack class with the static array. Second is the scalable dynamic array, and third is singly linked list. Okay, so of all these three forms which are available, singly linked list form is the quite effective utilization of implementation of the data structure for stack. Okay, so let us start with the introduction to stack. So as we have already discussed in the last class, can somebody come in? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So as we have discussed in the last class, stack is a data structure which is implemented in a specific portion of data memory. Did I started recording? I think I have started recording. No. Yes. Yes. I have started recording. Okay. I think I have started recording. Right. So and those students who have joined a little late, please make ensure that you are dropping your roll numbers in the chat box so as to consolidate the attendance. Okay, so let me again redefine what is the definition of stack. So stack is a data structure which is specifically located at the pre-designated place of data memory, which is a particular portion of RAM. Okay, so the implementation of the data structure is in such a way that the last inserted entity will be fetched back. Okay, so therefore this is technically called as either first in, last out, or last in, first out. And we have also discussed that stack is a very important data structure which is inevitable for any microprocessor because of three reasons. Okay, so or wherever there are the following three reasons, you need to use the stack operations. So what are the stack operations? The stack operations are, there are four stack operations. The first one is inserting a data item into the stack, is called as push. Second is fetching the data from the stack. That is nothing but reading the data from the stack. Reading means you are also reading and also you are deleting it. So that is called as pop. So one is push, second is pop, and third is called as a peek, which is used in order to check whether something is there in the stack. That means if you use peek operation, you are actually reading it, but you are not deleting it. So this is the small difference between pop and peek. So in pop, you are reading and also you are deleting. In push, you are inserting. Okay, so in peek, you are simply reading and you are not deleting that element. You are not deleting that element. Okay. So now where this stack is used in three important phases where the stack is used. The first one is whenever you use your own function calls jump, or whenever there is a function call to any system built-in functions, then microprocessor has to invariably use the stack, because it has to save to which address that it has to come back again, and then it has to jump to, it means the program has to jump to the address of the function which is being called, and that address of your function could be your pre-installed function which is coming as a bundle of your compiler package, or it can also be the address that is being generated at the compilation time in the case of user defined function. This is use number one. Next, use number two is whenever you deal with the compiler to ask to compile an expression which is having more than one operator. So as per the precedence of operators, okay, and as per the associativity order, the intermediate results needs to be stored, and this time the context is not the address. This time the context is the data. So whatever is the intermediate result, which is the intermediate data, needs to be stored in stack. This is usage number two. And usage number three is when you actually deal with new microprocessor based designs. Microprocessor means it needs to program certain specific addresses in order to service some of the asynchronous interrupts which are prone from the external stimuli to the processor. So in order to do that, you have to do interrupt service requests. Okay, so this is a separate, there is a course wherein you need to explore how to design efficient interrupt service handlers using assembly. So that will be again dealt in sixth semester, as I was saying in the last class. So you use stack whenever you need to configure the interrupts. So interrupts are those things which are asynchronous, which are not within the programmer's hand or within the user's hand, because interrupts can come at any time. Okay, so these are all asynchronous in nature, and in order to deal these asynchronous interrupts, you need to specify when an interrupt comes to which address those interrupts needs to be serviced. Okay, so these are the aspects which we have discussed in the last class, which is more of theoretical in nature. Can somebody acknowledge? Am I audible?
Sir.
Nobody is saying. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, okay. Okay, so otherwise I could have, I should, sort of repeat the entire tape record, which is very difficult. Okay, so I hope you are following, right? Anybody has any specific doubts at this point? Let me check whether Prakshal is there. Prakshal, you are there? There is very less attendance. Why? Are there any students who are suffering with the problem of not joining the class? Let me check the chat box. Can somebody check and then inform whether any students is unable to join? No, I think I have sent to Sai Charan Ketan, which was the last email that I have sent, and he has joined. Did he join? Sai Charan Ketan? Sai Charan Ketan, or what is his name? Sai Charan K. Sai Charan. Sai Charan, are you there? Can somebody acknowledge? Sai Charan has joined. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So there are 47 students, so meaning 13 students are absent. Yeah, 47. Roll number 47, she has a networking issue. Okay. Fine. So in today's class, let us start the implementation of stack data structure. This we have already seen in the last class. Okay, so let us now focus in today's class the this first implementation, that is this part. Okay, so we will see how to implement a C++ stack class with 1D static array. Okay, so let us assume that you are asked to design. Now, before this, can you tell me why what is the importance of discussing the logics of implementing the stack with the C++ classes? Did you understood my question? See, stack is something which is related to processor. Okay, so stack has those, uh, those four operations: push, pop, peek, and then display. Okay, so having said this, we also have told in the last class that the detailed analysis of stack is clear to the developer only if the developer is undergoing the entire architectural study of the processor. But in this course, wherein which is an introductory course for object oriented programming using C++, what is the need to study stack class using C++ classes? Okay, so the answer is this is a very tight, very closely related to hardware. Okay, so C++ compiler is the one which is not imposing any additional packages for a newly available processor, so that whatever object level code that you generate for the stacks as well as queues, and not only this, even the operating systems can be coded in C++. Let me repeat, even the operating systems also can be coded in C++. So this is the reason why we are highlighting the special emphasis of implementing a stack class with the C++ with the different options. Now let us take the first problem. Our first requirement is, assume that you are asked to implement an integer stack of 10 integers with C++ stack class. So then in the extreme left hand side, you have this option 1, where you have to define the maximum ceiling limit, which is a static array. So hash define max 10. Then you have to write the ADT class, which is class stack, and then private. Then under the attributes, you need to maintain an integer stack. So therefore, s of max is nothing but integer data item. I hope you are following. Are you looking the ADT class?
Sir.
I'm talking about this now. Okay. Then this is your default constructor. This is your default destructor, and this is your push, which is nothing but inserting an element. This is nothing but pop. That means you are reading and also you are deleting. This is peek, where you have to only read to check whether stack is having something, or stack is not having, or stack is empty. Okay. Then the display is nothing but what are the elements which are there in the stack that needs to be displayed. Okay, so let us again recall, stack is a last in first out, or first in last out. Now let us switch to our online compiler, and then we will start implementing this option 1. So why are we studying and what are we studying is clear now?
Yes.
Okay. One more point I forgot to tell you is, see, you have a stack of size 10, isn't it? Means assume that this is your stack. When stack is empty, that means at 0th place here you don't have any stack. Any element. So if stack is empty and if you are trying to pop, then you need to get an error, isn't it? Because there are no elements. If when stack is empty, if the programmer or if your application is trying to pop, what will you pop? Because stack is empty. So when stack is empty, any attempt when the application is made for popping will result to an error which is called as stack underflow error. So this is called as stack underflow error. Are you following? This is very important. This is very important. Okay, so this is called as stack underflow error. Somebody respond, are you following?
Yes, sir.
So similarly, if there is this so-called stack, and if stack is completely full, if you are trying to push one more item, let us assume this is the upper ceiling limit of the stack. Now this, in our case, this is s of how much? S of 9. Okay, this is s of 9. So this is s of 1. This is s of 1, and this is s of 0, and this is s of 9, meaning this is the first element and this is the last element. So when stack is empty, nothing is there. So if that time top is pointing to -1 because top is pointing to here. Okay, so top has to point to -1. So when you are pushing, when the element is getting pushed, you have to increment this top, which is called as the stack index, okay, or stack pointer index. So this top pointer has to be incremented by 1, and in s of top you have to store the data element. In s of top, just hang on 1 minute. Hello sir, నేను క్లాస్లో ఉన్నాను సార్, అర్జెంటా సార్? సార్ నేను క్లాస్లో ఉన్నాను సార్, తర్వాత మాట్లాడుతున్నాను. నాకు ఇప్పుడు అప్ టు 10:40 ఒకటి ఉంది, మళ్ళీ 11 to 12 కూడా ఉంది సార్. ఈ క్లాస్ అయిపోయాక నేను కాల్ చేస్తాను. ఓకే. Okay, so where are we? I discussed about stack underflow error, right? So similarly, if stack is, can somebody respond? That was the last point I mentioned, right? Stack underflow error. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so similarly, if stack is full, let us assume that you pushed 10 items, push 10, push 20, push 30, push 40, and so on. So up to push 100 you have done. So if you are again attempting, let us say push 110, then where is the space? You don't have space. So this specific error this is not an error. This is a error which is happening at runtime. So this is called as stack overflow. Stack overflow error. Okay. Clear? So what is the meaning of stack underflow error and stack overflow error is clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
When you are asked to implement the stack class, you have to tell when the stack is going to underflow and when the stack is going to overflow, and you have to move the stack index pointer, which is top. Okay, so push is in this direction, and then pop is also in the same direction. That means same path. So some of the real, so this is, yeah, go ahead.
Sanit is not able to join the class.
Who is unable to join the class?
Roll number 40.
Do you have, okay. Let me add this guy also into the mail. Okay, where is this? Please ask Anagha, maybe you please note down these roll numbers and ask these students to mandatorily make a call and make ensure that they are all being added into the Google groups. Maybe they are there in the Google groups, but what I have sent the email are those emails which are being communicated to me by Ramdev sir. Okay, so I'll probably put the mails list in the everybody can cross verify once, maybe after this today's afternoon classes. Okay, so let me invite.
Yes.
Uh, where is that invite? What happened? Where is the invite? Invite and remind. This is not coming. Why it is not coming? I can't invite. Is it? Let me close. Maybe he's not allowing me during the annotate option. Okay. Yeah, invite is coming. So one more thing is we cannot invite a friend when we are annotating. Yeah, so I'm sending Sanit Rao 2468. Mukesh is joining. So inform him that I have sent. Okay. Ask him to drop the mail. I mean, ask him to
Yes.
the attendance in the chat. Okay. Anyway, so let us do the implementation of this stack. Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Did he join? What was the last student name? Did he joined? So am I lost? Am I lost the signal? Can somebody respond whether you are there?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah,
I hear you.
fine. Did the student has joined?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
He's still unable to join it, sir.
No, I have sent an invitation. Did he got the mail?
Yeah, cannot join meeting. Something is getting it, sir.
Sanit Rao is joining the meeting. He has joined now. Just check now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So notice that how many are there participants? Because I'm going to leak a question. 54. Okay. So you will definitely get one stack and one queue in external exams. You will definitely certainly get Sneha is also coming. Okay. So you will definitely get the implementation of stack and our implementation of queue with static array or with dynamic array or with the template or with the singly linked list. So among these six, you will definitely get one long answer question and one short answer question. That means around 14% of marks is there in your pocket. So this is very simple. You don't you should not make any mistakes. Okay. So let me check whether the C++ environment is ready. So let us print whether this guy is printing my name. This is fine. So now let us start one by one. So implementation of stack with fixed size integer array. So class name is stack. Sorry. Class name is stack. Okay. and then private, public. So this is hash define max, let us say 10 elements. Okay. So what are the attributes I have to maintain in the stack? What are the attributes? One is stack itself, which is nothing but s of max. Second is stack pointer index, that is int top, which is always to the top of the stack. Initially top has to be -1. Okay. Now next is the ADT class. So therefore, first one is constructor, second one is destructor, then push. What item needs to be pushed is int. Whether it is successful or fail, you need to check again by returning an integer. Similarly, when you are popping, you are getting an item. That means the return type is the data item type. The data item type is you are implementing a stack with which is an integer stack. So the return type has to be integer. Can somebody respond? Are you listening? Are you following? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so push, pop, and then display of void, and writing peak is optional because you are not actually deleting, but still let us implement peak of void. That means this does stack has anything on the top of the stack. So the only difference between pop and peak is here you are reading, you are fetching the item from the of the stack and we are deleting it. On the other hand, peak means you are not deleting it. You are simply checking whether there is something is there in the on the top of the stack. You are just fetching it. You are just reading it, and you are not deleting. And we are not deleting. Okay. So push means this is where you are inserting. Push means this is where you are inserting. Pop means this is where you are deleting. So let us throw some messages. So I'll keep a infinite loop, a while one loop. Okay, so I have to throw the options to the user saying that one is do you want to push, and two is do you want to pop, three is do you want to peek, fourth is do you want to display, and fifth is do you want to exit. These are the 5 options that I have to throw to the user. Okay, clear? Clear? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just cutting the spaces with the \t, because unlike SLL, I don't have many options, so I'm putting it in one line. So let us take this as choice. You can take it as a ASCII character or you can take it as an integer. Let me take the integer choice. Okay, so what I'll do is now you need to read every time choice. Roll number 49, she is present. 49.
Yes, sir.
Name Kirti. Srija,
Yes, sir.
you are there? Praneeth, Srija, Praneeth, Arif, Prakshal.
Yes,
Somebody come in. You're
yes, sir.
okay. Okay, fine. So then what? Then
Sir, Arif.
yeah, okay, Arif. Switch of choice. Now you have 5 options. So let us throw one by one. Case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, case 5, and let us also write default. But in default, you should not see this message. You should not see this case. Or you can probably write cout. Your choice is meaningless. Please choose the right choice. Okay, because you're asking the user to choose among 1 to 5 and he is pressing something else. Let us say 10 or 6. So for every case, you need to have a break. Okay. Now we are, please notice that I have skipped a part of implementing the stack without a class. So it is also possible to implement a stack operation without a class. But if you add the class, then you are actually dealing with the course of second semester. That means the data privacy. That is that means you are talking about the privacy of the content of the stacks. Okay. So therefore, I have directly started with implementation of stack with a class. Okay. So or otherwise, in inside main itself, you need to write a general C++ functions. Point why I am highlighting here is because these general functions can be asked for 2 marks. At that time, you cannot say that it is not possible to implement stack without a class. Let me again repeat: a stack can be implemented without a class. Stack can be implemented with a class. Stack can be implemented with a class with scalable array. Stack can be implemented with a class with a single linked list with the template. And any class which is actually dealing with the memory allocation and disallocation of stack can also be inherited. Everything is possible. Okay. Are you following? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So case 1, what is this? This is pushing the item, pushing the item into the stack. Let us deal with now the object. Okay, so you have already defined a class by name stack. Let us say stack S1. So what is S1? This is an object of stack class. So therefore, let us talk about default constructor. So you are talking about stack. In this, you have stack with default constructor. Now cout. Cout. You are in. I am in default constructor. Okay. So what has to be done? Top needs to be initialized with -1 and make ensure that all array contents are flushed with zeros. So starting from I is less than max, I plus plus, your S of I is now holding all zeros. Okay. So this is where you are actually flushing entire stack. Okay. Clear? Clear? ADT class and then the constructor implementation. This is top is equal to -1. This is important. So let me also re-emphasize at this point, some authors in some textbooks also start top with 0. So the only thing is the mathematical notion of representing the stack is only different. Concept wise, everything is same. That means when the data item is pushed in the design, what I am implementing right now, I have a meaningful data when I am talking about S of 0. But that is meaningless data for a author in the textbook who has implemented with the top is equal to 0 as default. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is when stack is empty. Okay, here you have to be very careful. You have to be very careful. That means here what you have to do is you are talking about you are talking about creating a stack, something like this, and then you are pushing. That means top is initially here. Top is initially, in our case, it is here. This is top. Whenever you are pushing, the element will be pushed onto the top of the stack. That means in S of what is top? Top is -1. That means you have to do top plus 1. Isn't it? Isn't it? So this is S of top is -1. So you have to do top plus 1. Or what you can do is you can do top plus plus, but you do top plus plus only when you have adequate space. That means you need to check whether the stack is free. Some segment of the stack is free so that the element can be pushed. This is what I'll be doing now. Okay. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So now what I am doing is now I am in pushing the data item. So I will ask the user, you enter the element which needs to be pushed. Enter the element that needs to be pushed. Okay, so see in whatever he is entering, let us take that into probably X. Let us define X. Let us define X, and then you already have an object. So S1 is the object. Let us say push, which is a member function. You need to push, you are trying to push X, and if this is returning 1, then push is successful. And I'll say that cout pushed successfully. Okay. Else push is not possible. Okay. Now I need to implement this push. So let us start implementing the member function of push. Now this is very important. Many times asked 2 marks question. So the return type is int. It could be boolean. This is there in stack. You are talking about push. You are taking a data item which is, let us say, int x or maybe int item. This x and that x addresses are different. Please notice. Okay. Are you following? Somebody use your mic. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before you start any attempt for pushing, first thing that you have to do is, I think let me go to the slide. This is the implementation of C++ stack class with static array. Okay, so this is on the left hand side you have the ADT class. Now coming to the algorithm, this is what you have to do in the phase of initialization. This is in the constructor. Okay, so notice that if you are asked to implement the stack without a class, then before entering while one, you have to do this initialization, these 3 steps. Okay, so step 1 is you make ensure that top is -1, flush the contents of stack, that is from 0 to max -1, and then throw the options, throw these 5 options. Then from step 4 onwards, you tackle whichever option the user is dealing. Now coming to the push, coming to the algorithm part, first step what you have to do is check whether because you are trying to insert. So check whether the stack is full. So if stack is full, then top will be pointed to max -1. Okay, so because your starting max is 0, So if there are 10 elements, then if you are pushing one element, then the top will be 1. Okay. So sorry, top will be 0. First element, top will be 0. Second element, top will be 1. So ninth element, top will be 8. 10th element, top will be 9. So if 9 is double equal to 10 minus 1, that means you cannot further push the data item. So then you have to display the message saying that there is a stack overflow error, and then you return 0. That means this is failed. On the other hand, else you increment the top and then you throw the data element into stack. That means in S of top. Already top is getting incremented. Okay. So this is the sort of pseudo code that needs to be written for stack push operation. So push, check whether top is max minus 1. If it is, then it is stack overflow and return 0. Otherwise, you increment top and then you make ensure that S of top is k and you return success, where k is the element that needs to be pushed. Okay. So let us, are you following? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now coming to the push, what is the first thing that I have to do? If top has reached to max minus 1, we have started top at minus 1. But if top is reaching to max minus 1, that means what message you have to tell? Stack is overflow. Stack overflow error. Okay. Stack overflow error. And then what? Return 0, because no further pushing can be done. This is the failed process. On the other hand, you will come here only when top is not equal to max minus 1. So at that time, you make top plus plus. Now you do S of top is equal to X, which is, this is where you are pushing. Okay. And then you need to return 1. This is the implementation of push. Are you following? There is no loop here. There is no loop here, because top is the index which is pointing to the top of the stack. You have to keep the data item at S of top. That's it. But make ensure that top is getting incremented. Make ensure that you are incrementing only when stack is not full. Make ensure that if stack is full, you have to display stack overflow error. Okay, so if you are not following any one of this, then the equivalent penalty will be done in terms of reduction of marks. Okay. Am I clear? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with this we are done with push. Now let us do pop. What do you mean by pop? I need to retrieve the data. That means now I'll use X as S1 dot pop off. Okay. So whatever element that I have retrieved, which is X, I'll say that cout popped item is equal to what? X. Then NDL. Now we have to implement pop. Isn't it? So same thing. What has to be done? In the return type is end stack ADT. You are talking about pop with no arguments. Okay. So now here, what is the condition that check? If you are trying to pop when the stack is empty, then you have to throw the message saying that you are doing stack underflow error. Stack underflow error. Okay. and then you return, no, this fellow is also returning, okay, then you return probably, error code. I'm writing error code EC. Maybe you can write the error code also as hash defined, error code as -1. So I'm assuming that -1 is not the element. -1, this is a error indication. Okay. So this is a error code that I am communicating from my function to the main, from the member function to the main. Clear? So I'll come here only when the top is not equal to -1. That means there is something in the stack. So what is that something? You take that into answer. That is nothing but answer is equal to, which is being pointed by top. So S of top. Okay. And then you have to decrement the top. And then you return answer. So this is not a error code. This is the element. This is the element that you are returning. Okay. So notice that when stack is empty, you will get popped item is equal to -1 here. Okay, so if it is -1, it is implied that you got an error, which is stack underflow error. And also notice that you will get underflow error. Now in both the cases, when you are making a attempt to push, before you return, let us also display a message saying that push is successful. Okay, and also let us display a message inside the function saying that pop is successful. And I'm just removing, okay, pushed is successful, pushed successfully. Okay, let it be here, no problem. Okay, clear? Push and pop is clear? Push and pop is clear? Any doubts? Notice that you should not write loops here. You have to visualize that it is a memory, which is a data structure, and then pushing means you have to, you are controlling the index by using top. So push means top has to be incremented, pop means top has to be decremented. Whatever it is pointing, you have to fetch. That's it. Any doubts? Please respond. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Those who have joined, those who have not dropped your numbers, please drop your numbers on the chat box. I think there are 57 students. Okay, so please drop your roll numbers and let us implement the last thing, which is the display 3 and then 4. 4 is speaking, 3 is speaking, isn't it? 3, what is the option 3? Option 3 is speaking. It is nothing but displaying the content without deleting, right? So what you do is x is equal to s1 dot peak. I think I used capital P, so let me use capital P and then semicolon. So C out after the value of x is okay. So now let us implement this peak, which is a simple implementation. So it has to return end, which is in stack. We are talking about peak, which is with void. Okay. So again, if top is double equal to -1, then you need to simply return the error code. Else you return stack of top. You don't have to do either increment nor decrement. Okay. Okay. So are you following? Okay, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
What happened to others? Nobody, others are all sitting dumb. Let me be specific.
Sir.
Yeah, fine. Okay, I think they are using chat box. Fine. So then the last one is what is the last one? Which is case 4. Case 4 is display part. So let us start displaying the stack content. So stack contents are okay. So S1, did I use capital? No. S1 dot display of. Okay, so I had to simply display the stack. That means I used okay. So just above main, I have to start writing void stack in this display of void starting from for int I is equal to 0 is less than top I is less than I plus plus. Okay, so we have to display C out of I with a tab space. Then I'll just say a message saying that stack contents. Okay, so that's it. So our stack implementation with fixed size integers is completed. I think there is another case which is exit. So you don't have to do anything here. So because it is a static array, you can probably throw a message. And then you return 1. Okay, so this is return 1, which is returning from main. You are killing the application, and this is return 0. That means you should never come to here. Okay, here. Now let us compile this program. Any doubts? Let's compile this. Okay, there is some 102, line number 102. I think I forgot semicolon. Somebody respond. Am I audible? Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, undefined. Okay, destructor I have not yet written. There is a object level reference is not unable to create in the so-called GDB server. So just above main, what I have to do is I need to invoke the destructor. That is no return type, not even void. Stack, then tilt of stack void. So cout. I'm in destructor, default destructor.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
sir, there I less than or equal to top, sir. Then for loop.
In for loop, is it where you are talking about display? Less than or equal.
Yes, sir. Line number 65.
Yeah, correct. That is correct. Line.
65.
Yeah, so I is 0, I is less than or equal to top. That is correct. Because you are indexing from -1. Okay. So if top is 0, then there is a element. Then also you have to display. Okay. That is correct. Anything else? That's it. So you have to be very careful in indexing. Okay. So let us start executing this and let us start pushing the data element. I'll push maybe 10, 20, 30 and so on. Okay, I have pushed to 10. Then let me use display. So stack contents are 10 only. Let me again push 20. Okay, now let me display, which is 4. and then 20. Now again let me push. Okay, so now let me push 30. Let me again push. Let me push 40. Let me push 50. 160. 170. 180. Then 190. Let me display. This is 3. No, 3 is peak. Okay, you have peaked. Display is 4. So 10 to 90 are pushed. Now let me again push one more fellow, which is 100. So 100, if I am pushing, is also pushed because that is the last fellow. Now let us display. When I display, you are displaying up to 10 to 100. Now let me again try to push with probably 110. Then I have to get stack overflow error. Push is not possible. Okay, so if I display, then this is the stack. Now let me start popping. So if I pop, popped item is 100 because the last inserted item is 100. So therefore popped item is 100. Now let me again display. Now this is display. Now let me again push because one place is empty. So now let me push 110. So pushed is successfully. Now let me again display. So display is after 90, you got 110. Now let me peak, which is 3, is 110 after peak. Now let me pop. Now after every pop, let me display 2 and then 4. This is the stack. Again 2, pop. Popped item is 90. The display of stack is this, 90 is gone. 2, 80 is gone. Has to go. Next 70 has to go. Next 60 has to go. Next 50 has to go. Next 40 has to go. Next 30 has to go. 20 has to go. Next 10 has to go. Okay. Then where is that? 2. Okay. So if you try to pop, then you will get stack underflow. Right? Right? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with this, stack implementation with static array is completed. Very simple program, but don't make mistakes. Quite commonly asked long answer question because stack is invariably very, very important. Okay, so maybe let me copy this code. I think we are left with another 10 to 15 minutes. Let me also complete the second option, which is dynamic. Let me copy this program. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the folder of your online classes, which is regular classes. In this class number 11, in this new text file, in this program number 1.txt, so that I can send this for your cross reference. So I have copied it. Now I am coming back to the implementation. Okay. Is the first one is clear? Push and pop and peak. Now let us focus on second implementation. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
This is the second implementation. Yeah. Anybody has any doubts? Anybody has any doubts? So I am going to change the same source code because there is no big change that I need to do except I have to delete the fixed size static array. Now what I have to do is I have to take int star s. Okay, I have to take int star s, and then I also need to take another scalable parameter. This is called scaling factor. Scaling factor, which is available at runtime. Is available at runtime, and this is given by the user. This is given by the user. You following? Here. Can somebody respond? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so coming to the default constructor, top is again -1. Now there is no array here. So only thing is what has to be done is, see, there are two ways of doing it. Okay, so the first point is, where will you ask n? Okay, so here you have two options. You can separate n in main. Okay, so typically you can hold n in main, and when you are trying to create an object, you can pass that n as a parameterized constructor. Let me repeat. You can remove this int n inside the stack class. You can declare that int n in main, and when you are invoking a object which is stack s1, instead of default constructor, you can pass stack s1 of n. Understood? So as a result, what happens? N is now getting inside as a code of your constructor. That is actually better, because that is the option 1. And the second option is, keep n as a data item inside the class. Keep n as the data item inside the class, and as a part of constructor code, you ask the user to enter n. Either way is fine. So let me use the first way. Okay, so I am cutting this. Okay, are you following? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Let me again repeat the two implementations which are possible for implementing a C++ stack class with a scalable array. The array what we are considering is a integer array. Okay. So since the scaling factor is also another parameter that needs to be considered, which will be given by the user, the scaling parameter can be asked in or inside the class. So it is up to you, or it is up to the coder to choose where to keep that int n. Now here you have two approaches. Approach 1 is, you declare int n inside the main and accept the value of n from the user. After accepting n, then you invoke an object. Okay, so when you invoke an object, that is nothing but you have to write a statement saying that stack s1, and as a part of s1 you pass the value of n, so that n is available inside the constructor, which is as a parameter. So that means here you have to implement the overloaded version of default constructor, which is nothing but parameterized constructor, and this is option number 1. Now there is a second option. In the second option is, don't do anything in main, keep the same code in main. Only thing is, you add one extra data item in the class. Okay, so as a part of constructor code, there you ask the user to enter in and then you allocate memory. So in one way or the other, memory allocation has to happen in constructor. If you want to use the default constructor and you don't want to exchange the value of n from main to your member function, you can use approach number 2. On the other hand, if you want to retain the same class definition as you have earlier written with the static array, then you have to declare one extra variable inside main and you have to invoke the parameterized constructor. So among these two things, I am going to follow the first one. Okay? Can I proceed?
Yes, sir.
No response. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think I copied something here. So what I'll do is, just before while one, because before entering the while one, I have to ask the user, you enter how many number of data elements you want to maintain as the size of the stack. So that I'm asking here. See out. Again, I am repeating. This is not the only code for implementation of scalable array, a scalable stack. Okay, so different ways, different authors, different textbooks has different implications. Whichever you feel is comfortable, you are welcome to follow. Okay, so I am discussing more professional way of implementing a stack. One is the introduction, but actually stack you cannot hold only integers because stack should be generic. That means you have to bring template, and you can't maintain a stack in a continuous memory also. That means you have to maintain a template with linked list, which we will discuss probably in the next class. Okay, so here I need to ask the user to enter the number of elements of the stack. So what user is entering, this is nothing but C in n. Okay, so after taking n, now you have to invoke the object. Now you have to invoke the object, so meaning s1 of n. Now what is this? This is an object of stack class with parameterized constructor. Okay, now what happens? There will be small changes only in constructor and destructor. Push and pop remains the same. Push and pop remains the same. Only thing is, in push you have to change that max with n. Okay, now here there will be another ambiguity. The question is, how do you access n in push then? You have to again tackle that n in main only. Let us take up one by one. This we have another 10 minutes. Okay, so you are in default constructor. No, you cannot be default constructor. So what you do is int. Now you have to define a parameterized constructor, meaning int. Okay, so here let us assume the value is n. Okay, or maybe number of items k. You can also initialize it with default initializer with 0. Okay, so you are in parameterized constructor now, right? And then you are saying that top is equal to -1. Then what has to be done? S is equal to new of k. Okay, and then for int I is equal to 0, I is less than k, I plus plus. Then you have to make s of I is equal to 0, right? So top is -1. You have created the array which is at runtime, and the dimension of the array is scalable, which is given by the user at runtime. That is n in main, which is k in member function, which is a constructor, and then you have allocated the memory. So once the memory is available, you are initializing the entire stack contents with 0, and the top is pointing to -1. Let us assume that user is willing to push. Hence case 2. Sorry, yeah, case 1. So when user is trying to push, here itself you can make a decision. Okay, so before accepting it, what you can do is if you already have n, okay, how do you check this? Okay, so you are accepting x, and then you are entering into push member function. So inside push member function, inside the member function of push, how do you access? Where is that member function? Where is that member function? Push is here. Okay, so how do you bring the value of n here? Yes, how do you bring? How do you bring? How do you?
Passing n as argument.
Huh?
We need to pass n as
N
an
as
argument.
argument.
Yeah, so you can pass probably n as an argument. but I think that will probably need to alter the already designed member function of push. So let me switch back again to option 2. Are you following what I'm doing one by one? Okay, so I'm going to use option 2 where I'm going to retain void. Then again in the default constructor I'm going to retain void. Then I'm going to pass n because n is required in order to check whether my stack is full. Okay, so now I am in default constructor only. I am in default constructor only. Top is -1. Here I will ask the user to enter n. Following? Enter the number of elements. Enter the number of elements
Sir, left shift.
you want to maintain. This is now C in n here. Now in main I'll delete that n. I'll go back to main. Delete this n. Okay, because I'm keeping this n here. So let me retain that. Sorry. Let me retain that comment, which is a scaling factor at runtime. Are you following what I'm doing? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in main, now there is no n here. So you are using the same member function. Enter the element that needs to be pushed, and then coming to push, here is push here. So instead of top is equal to max -1, now you have to write n-1. Correct. Now n is accessible. Is it accessible? Yes, because it is sitting as a private member. You following? Okay. Top is
Yes, sir.
top plus plus.
Yes, sir.
Top, and then you are saying that you have pushed it, and then pop there is no change, peak there is no change, display there is no change, and here there is no need of passing n, there is no need of accepting n. So we again came to the same earlier problem of main itself with the static array. So once everything is done, when you are when the user is asking to terminate, which is case 5, let us delete. So that is in this default destructor, you need to delete off. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let us start compiling this. Constructor, okay, which is line number 24. Cout.
Out, sir.
Yeah. What is the problem?
See out left shift.
Cout.
Right shift.
Left shift. Operating.
Oh,
Left shift operating.
cin is this. Okay. Okay. K. K is not there. I think I have to ask in n. Till n. Next. So enter the number of elements. Let us create a stack of 5 elements. So let me push 1, let me push 2, let me push 3, let me push 4, let me push 5, and then let me display get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me try to push one more thing, which is 6. I have to say that overflow error. Then let me again display. Now let me start stack contents were displayed. Why it is not getting displayed? Okay, let me pop. Item is 5. Let me again display. Okay, and the value is -1, you are not getting displayed. There is a bug in pop. In pop, when top is equal to, no, not in pop, in display. Where is the display? One second. Now let us do pop 2. Popped item is 4. Let me display 4. Let me display again pop. Item is 3. Let me again display. Let me display. Let me again do pop. Pop item is 2. Let me again display. Now it is 1. Let me again pop. Pop item is 1. Let me try to display. Then contents are nothing. Empty will be displayed. If I again try to pop, then you will get stack underflow error. Okay. Here, this is a sort of very simple implementation of stack with fixed size array and then stack with an array at runtime. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So let me stop here. So next class we will see how to implement stack by using a linked list. That is a more practical implementation, but quite rarely asked in exams, but quite efficiently used by the engineers. Okay. So with this, I'll stop today's class, and there are a couple of announcements that I need to make. One is when will you write the quiz for those 17 students combining section A and section B? When do you want me to schedule the quiz? You have to get back to me with a specific time wherein it should not be overlapped with the regular class timetable. That is one. So when shall I conduct? Shall I conduct tomorrow? Now,
Yes, sir. It is better you conduct tomorrow.
having said,
Sir, Monday.
yeah, come again.
Monday evening, sir.
Monday evening. Okay. Anything else? Any other? Anybody? See, if you have any specific constraints, you get back to me as early as possible, because once I lock the date, I cannot change. I cannot listen to everybody's concern. So at this point itself, let us freeze the time. Let us freeze the date, because I have to also tell the same thing to ECE section C students. Okay, so at the same stretch, I'll invoke, or I will release the questions for probably 10 minutes with the 10 MCQs. Now, having said this, there may be students who want to improvise your marks in your quiz too. So, those students who have already written and who have got some marks in quiz 2 also can take part, and whoever is getting the good score among the two will be considered as the final quiz 2 marks or final quiz 2 assessment. So, am I clear? So, quiz 2, I am also giving a chance to all those students who have already taken up in the last time and who want to improvise your marks. Okay? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
I hope I'm not getting any response. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Monday at what time?
4 at 4. Sir.
Okay, so
Evening 4.
you are telling about.
Evening 4.
Let me also talk to EC section C, to whom I have a class at 11 o'clock now, and then I will finalize the time, which will be before 7 o'clock, and which will be definitely after 4 o'clock. and the exam will be for a duration of 10 minutes. That is one. Okay, and second is make ensure that in the last or in the second week of what? Second week of May, you will have to attend your second lab internal exam. Okay, so tentatively not in the second week, in the third week. So starting from May 18 till May 23rd, anytime based on my convenience, it is not your convenience, based on my convenience, I will schedule the time, and it is your turn that you have to come up and take up the exam with the point to point. Okay, that means I'll take randomly some 5 or 10 students based on accessibility and based on the availability of resources. Now there are students who don't have computers, so for those students, I request first make ensure that your record activity is completed. Provided, you write the record, provided you are executing the programs. Okay, so collaborate with your friends, and I should see as many messages as flooding in the WhatsApp as well as in the Google groups to exchange the source codes. Okay, so let me stop here, and we will see again in the next class, which is on Monday. Anything else? There, anything else? Anything else? Am I audible?